Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Mr. Runquist? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview. This is something I've been really hoping to achieve one day ever since I first saw you guys opening for Sonata and Power Glove back in Minnesota at Station 4.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, we've been Facebook friends for quite some time, so I've seen your blurbs and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Why not?
Oh, absolutely. And what better timing than the brand new Mutiny Within album coming out in February?
Right? How do you like it? What did we release? Like 3 singles so far? What do you think?
Oh, actually 4 now I've seen. I saw that
Oh,
Circles
yeah, you're
just got
right.
added
Wow,
yesterday.
I don't know my own shit. Wow, I'm an idiot. You're right.
I love it so far. All the songs so far capture what I love about you guys. I mean, the heavier parts are even heavier than I could ever imagine. The melodic parts are so much more melodic than I could have imagined. It really feels like the fire is under you guys again.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I mean, we really felt it. I mean, with the second one, we put it out. It was kind of quick. It was when I had just remade up with the band. You know, we had a falling out. I left, and then they got a replacement drummer when they went on the tour with Soilwork. But then after that, we became cool again, and we had all these songs. So, Synchronicity was fun. But with this one, we really, after 4 years, we're like, listen, we want to put out something. And I'm like, hey, let's call it Origins. We have so many demos. And it was going to start out as a demo project. But then we're like, listen, we have so many ideas here that let's scrap the whole demo idea and let's just make a full album. So that's why we really, we kind of put everything we had into it. Heavier is, heavy is heavier. The melodic is more melodic. We didn't have anybody, per se, managerial, style people, anybody telling us what direction to go. So we just did whatever we wanted.
Yeah, and a great way to show that off was Archetype of Destruction. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be that heavy as a first release.
We weren't either. You have to hear. I'll send you it on the side. You have to hear the first version of that song. It is 2 totally different songs. And we wanted to just really showcase what I used this as. This was my late for the kill, early for the slaughter song. You know what I mean? From Soilwork.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs on that album. So it's got the fast, really driving chorus. It's got everything about it is fast. It's very fast paced, and it just opens with a blast beat and Chris sounding as deep as he's ever sounded in his life. It was very conscious. We wanted to make the first single that people have heard for 4 years basically one of the heaviest ones that we've ever done. So we had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a great first impression, and I noticed right away that Soilwork influence on there. I mean, I love those kind of choruses where it can be like the really fast thrash beats or the blast where it has clear vocals or the more aggressive vocals where you can still understand what's going on instead of just like the typical death metal stuff all the time. That's the only time you can use the blast. Those melodic parts and adding blast is just really great combination.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, and please tell me you caught the gravity blast in there.
I did. I was just going to bring that up.
There's absolutely a gravity blast in there, and I don't want that to be swept under the rug either. People got to know that. It was very, all shall perish influence. Because that was, not many bands, right, like drumming-wise, that do many. I mean, they do gravity blasts, but you don't hear them all the time. So I'm like, guys, listen, I'm sorry, but a gravity blast has to go right here. That's the only thing that fits for me. And it was just, sounded great. I'm like, boom, staying. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up too. I mean, gravity blasts in this style of music is pretty much unheard of, so it's really cool to be able to hear that.
Exactly. Yeah, a gravity blast is more. It's like for people. I'm sure there's a drum podcast. Everybody knows what a gravity blast is, but it's like a lot of like Johnny Rabb. He was at one point the world's fastest drummer, and he does a lot of drum and bass. And years ago, I had gone to a drum clinic at Guitar Center, and I saw him playing. And a gravity blast is essentially like a one-handed roll where you use the rim of the drum as a fulcrum, and you just go up and down. And once you find that sweet spot, you could go, instead of dot dot dot, you could go da 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 da. So while perfecting that, rather than just doing a normal blast beat, it's in a sense double the time on the snare drum. So it sounds like, and it's all real. It sounds fake as hell because it's crazy. But once you get the rhythm and the forearm strength and the timing of it down, it sounds like madness. And it just had to go there.
Oh, absolutely. I know that's always one of the hardest things to be able to pull off live is making the gravity blast actually come through the mics because it is a lot quieter to do. But once you build up that strength, you can get it audible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot of relying on the snare drum to do its snare drum thing. But once you do, like you said, once you get the wrist and the position of it, mainly it's not just going up and down haphazardly. If you have to go down with like meaning, it's like you're almost hitting it and it's just going to work. So once you have that the technique of it down, making it audible is way more easy. When you're first starting out, it sounds like something's falling down a staircase. But then you keep trying, and you start nailing it.
Oh, absolutely. So,
thanks, man.
And what I love so far with all 4 singles that have been released so far is none of the songs sound the same. I mean, there's so much variation between it. I mean, Justify came out pretty much right after Archetype, and the two don't sound similar at all, and it just shows that great aspect of what I've always loved about the band.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and that's not even, it's not a contrived thing that we try and do that way. We do that just naturally. That's just how we like to do things. So you can see Archetype of Destruction, like you said, versus Justified, but there's even one that's coming out. Well, it's on the album, but we're not going to release it as a single just yet. It's called Reasons. And it sounds like a song that could be on the radio with not one scream, not one bit of harsh anything about it. There's a couple, fancy fills in there, but it's a very slow, it's almost like a radio-friendly song. And we've always prided ourselves on having, the musicianship or just the ability in terms of how it's written to do different things musically, not just blast, your fucking ass off or, have Chris growl until he can't breathe, but we also like to touch on the melodic side of those things. And being able to, put out tracks, like you said, that essentially don't even sound like the same style of music. That's what we pride ourselves on that, because the last thing you want is an album that just sounds flat and every single song just blends into each other. I mean, we've all heard albums that have that kind of thing, and we consciously like to always expand on the different tastes and the aspects that we like to incorporate it, though.
Oh, definitely, and I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, it does not sound contrived at all that you are hitting all these different styles. It just feels very natural, and I always lean towards those bands that don't make a forced song or a forced album. It definitely sounds, with the 4 songs that I've heard so far, it definitely sounds like you're creating these songs because they're the songs that you wanted to make.
That's it. I mean, that absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. It was not, we put out Archetype and then we say, now we gotta slow it down. Now let's put, song 3, have it a real soft one, and then have one be proggy and one be more death metal. It's not, of course that takes consideration once you're making the track listing, because you don't want to have too many songs that sound the same next to each other if they have similarities. You want to have it, artists like to take the time when they're actually making, especially a physical album, people that still buy those things, that the songs blend into each other in a way where in a sense takes you, it's like a trip. You go on a trip for a while, a momentary trip, if you listen to song 1 all the way to the end of the album. I like when people do it that way. I mean, not necessarily where you have to, if you're going to listen to our album, you got to listen to the whole thing. It's just people take time to put, thought into track listings and, what one song might sound like here or there versus if it's the last song or the middle song. So, in that respect, we put the thought into it, but when we're writing it, it's just whatever, AJ does all the songwriting in terms of he'll sit there on his guitar, and, AJ plays guitar too, and he's not just a bassist, so he comes up with what he comes up with, and then Chris lays his vocal style to it, and it's a very organic way. It's never forced. It's never, let's do a pop banger here, and then let's do like a death metal, deathcore song. It just doesn't work that way, so.
Yeah, and I was definitely going to bring that up as well, as I'm very much an album guy. I want to be able to check out everything from start to finish, even though with my radio show, I usually always stick to the singles, at least until the album comes out, because I never want to leak any material. But when I listen to it for my own enjoyment, I want to be able to listen to it from start to finish. I want to see if there was any songs on there that were just for filler, or if all the songs were meant to be heard. And I'm definitely getting that impression so far that it is the latter. It feels like every song on here is going to be equal in wanting to be heard from start to finish.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we wanted to get, across. We want every song to be a standalone, Mutiny Within fan favorite. We didn't do it with that in mind. Oh, let's write an album that we know everyone's going to love. We wrote an album that we wanted to make, and, the reaction that the people have been having so far is great. And, it really comes through when people try and make it a little too contrived and, well, let's write this to write this, or this style is really hot right now. Let's have a breakdown that sounds like dun, 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 dun. It's like how many goddamn times are you going to hear the same shit? You know what I mean? So, in terms of like someone like you saying you love buying the album, you like hearing the thought that people put into it. You're the reason why we actually do those things and why we actually take the time to do it, because, when people appreciate it, that's why we like to do it,
Yeah, and again, that brings me back to the first and so far only time that I've been able to see you guys on the Sonata Arctica tour. Like, I was familiar with you guys, and I heard the songs that were being released as singles, and it made me that much more excited to be able to see you guys. But I immediately picked up the album after the sets and got it autographed by all you guys, because I wanted to be able to have that fully produced CD in my car and be able to listen to it from front to back, and just being able to dive into all the songs that you've created.
Yeah, man. That's the first album we had. We literally went to the studio. Jason Sukoff, he's done everything, Trivium, All That Remains, Devil Driver, ton of stuff. He's a madman, and he's crazy. I love him. But we went there with 50 songs, like 50, and they were full demo songs, 50 of them. So we had to narrow down, to 20. Then we had to narrow down to 15. And then, okay, we'll record those, 15, but only 12 are going to go on the main album. So 3 will be on B-sides and, limited release, et cetera, and all that. So we had to narrow 50 songs down to 12. And, a lot just didn't make the cut, but the ones that did were the best that we felt that we wanted to express at that moment. And then it took the time of, okay, now let's put the songs in order. How are we going to do this? And being that we were an up-and-coming band that never even had a demo out, and we got signed to Roadrunner, we wanted people to hear the first song on the album. We said, why not start with our single? So we put it Awake with the piano intro. We just thought that was not bold, but it was just the right move. Like, okay, we're a band that not many people know. We're on one of the biggest metal labels in the fucking world. So let's, number one song, boom, it's going to be our music video, Awake. And then, we moved around some things, and then until we were happy with the track listing that, eventually it came to be.
And from that first self-titled album all the way up to now with Origins, how much do you feel that the band has grown, and how much do you feel that you've grown as a musician since that time?
And geez, it's like, in terms of me, it's like night and day. Like when I'm speaking for all of us, we were all very young. I was still in college. I had to kind of not leave college, but I finished my semester. I still had a couple credits left, but I flew down to Florida, recorded the album, came back, finished my last credits of college, and then right after that, we started touring. So it was like right when I was done with school, it was out the gate, just touring a month and a half, come home for a week or two, do it again and do it again. So in that aspect, we were very young. It was all very new to us. So musically, we all had our chops, but of course, being on tour, playing the same songs every day, playing, breaking down your set and all that, you start to get a better, conditioned muscle memory. So whereas if I'd, a full set and I would, break a sweat, not that I would break less of a sweat, but your muscles were more just like when you go to the gym and your arms get big. You're working out, your arms get big. That's just what happens. So when you're playing a show every day, you hone your skills. So what was once tight is now even tighter because you're playing it nonstop. We didn't play to a click or anything on that tour. We didn't have any, backing tracks. We had Chris doing all the vocals, Drew doing all the synth kind of piano sound. So everything you heard was live, no click. And then upon that whole album cycle after the first album, I got linked up with Angel Vivaldi. So after, my departure from Mutiny, I linked up with Angel. We put out a few albums so far, which has since, again, kept my skills sharp because Angel's, he's like a virtuoso on the guitar. I'm sure you've heard some of his stuff. He's crazy, and I wanted to keep on going that technical, progressive yet melodic, but, really showcasing your showmanship on, metal albums. So that, again, honing my skills. And then now with this, the second album and the third album, I feel like all of us individually have become, seasoned, musicians in that sense, but just, maturity and just, our mindset on things. This, I feel, is probably our, it's our strongest, most, matured, I hate to say it's our most mature album. It's it's our most matured album. We've all, gone through the life experiences. I'm 31 now. I started the first album when I was fresh out of college. So, I've had some living experience, and that flavors, your outlook on stuff, and it flavors the way, you are with a band. So this album, leagues apart from, the first and second in terms of what we've gone through as people, what we've gone through as bands, being, dropped from Roadrunner because album sales weren't the best, because on one torrent site alone, 60,000 people downloaded our first, our debut album. So that's how musical careers just get destroyed. So we all had to go through the tribulations and the hardships of that. And we've honestly, it sounds cliche, but we've come out the other end just, better musicians and better people for it. So
yeah, definitely. And I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, Mutiny Within has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, like he just said. But in that time, everyone has done their different endeavors, and I absolutely love what you do with Angel Vivaldi. I was going to bring that up later, but yeah, it's just, I love all the stuff that you've done with Angel. I mean, you two are an amazing combination together, and I think that really helps to work with other musicians as well, because it opens up your mind and creativity to things that you may not have thought of if you just worked with the same people all the time. And I think that's part of why Mutiny with the new album, it sounds so inspired this time around, is because it's so fresh after taking some time off and just being able to regroup and get some new ideas out there.
Of course, I fully agree. Chris, since our inception with Mutiny, Chris has now, done his Wearing Scars thing. He's honing his mixing, producer skills, his vocalist skills, doing guest vocals on everything they see on Facebook. He's spreading his, seed all over that area. AJ and I and myself, we were in Vexed for a while with Tommy Vexed from Divine Heresy, and Angel was actually in Vexed for a little while as well. And then, like you said, it does, Mutiny Within, a lot of that influence was, bands that I've listened to. But now, with Angel stuff or even newer Mutiny stuff, a lot of the influence is not just bands that I listen to, but my own experience, my own flavor. Not to say that my initial stuff didn't have my stamp on it. Of course it did. But, as time goes on and you do your own thing, you start to become more confident in your own, stylings and your own taste. So it kind of takes a little, be bold. Do what you want to do. If you want to put out a piece of music and you think that one part would sound better with another, something different, do it. Just put it there. And if people don't like it, they're not going to like it. But chances are when you do what you like and you hone your skills in that sense, it's just going to come to fruition. It's going to bear fruit. It's just translates that way. How many times do you see artists out nowadays that they come out because they sound like everybody else in the game, and it's one kid sitting behind a computer and the drums are programmed and nothing's real about it? Those bands come and go real quick. And not to say, like we had our own problem. It's funny, but our trials and tribulations, like I mentioned earlier, and our name is Mutiny Within. It's a very, self-fulfilling prophecy right there. But yeah.
No, it definitely makes sense. When you work with other musicians, it does help to get some new ideas out there. But, it's 100%. Just like when you have those trials and tribulations in a band and you're able to get back together and become stronger because of it, you grow better as people and musicians that way.
I fully agree. After I left Mutiny and, the rest of the band, kind of fizzled and, we got dropped from Roadrunner, synchronicity wasn't even a thought then. Since then, me and AJ and Chris and Dan, we've become better friends than we were previously. We've gone through shit. We've had things not work out. We've gone through, the arguments, the stuck in a tour bus, who's not showering, what the hell is that on the goddamn ground kind of phase, to the phase where we started to argue and maybe someone may have resented how someone would act or whatever. There's a ton of shit. It's like you're married to 6 people in those circumstances. But when you go through it, you come out the other end. As we said, it just comes out. You just come solidified. So we become not just musicians that want to put out music again. We became better friends. in that respect. So
yeah, and that's definitely what's important too. I mean,
yeah.
with that big surge that came in from 2000 to 2010, with so many bands that are starting to open the door when it comes to heavier music, a lot of them are still not around right now. And you guys are making an amazing comeback with February when Origin drops, and I'm just so thankful to see that everything came back around so you guys can put out such great music again.
Thanks. Yeah, man, we appreciate it. We're not just doing this to stay, hey, let's put out another album, stay relevant, maybe make a few bucks on the side and sell it ourselves. It's not just, we want to stay relevant. We became a band to become a band. And now that we've all honed our lives and our life experience, it's like, why not that we're more comfortable in our own shoes? Let's do it again. So it just happened to, us talking of let's put out a demo album, to us just saying, you know what, let's make it a full album. And we made this album, past all the obstacles that we had to do, from 2 different countries and 4 different states. So I'm in New Jersey. I recorded all my drums. AJ is in Pennsylvania. He recorded the guitars, a lot of the guitars and the bass. Dan is in Florida. He recorded, the guitars and all the synth, because being that we don't have Drew anymore, he recorded all that. And Chris is in England, where he did all the singing and the mixing. So, I mean, it's a cross-continent kind of send back and forth amalgamation that, then transpired, it became an album. But, like I said, if you have the drive to want to do it, and if you're doing it for the right reason, there's not really at this stage in the game and this stage in, life, that you can't do it. If you want to do it, you have the means to do it. If you have a computer, you have the means to do it. If you have the instruments that you still had when you started, you have the means to do it. It's just a matter of getting past the hurdles of how do we get this to be an actual album. Oh, you're over there? Oh, we can't do this. I'm in England. Oh, you're in Florida? He's in Jersey. You can still do it. So
when it comes to that, not being in the same room and writing the songs together, not being in the same studio recording together, do you find that easier or harder to be able to come up with parts?
Both, and it's just a very different animal. Beggars can't be choosers. We can't all drop our lives on what we're doing right now. Like I said, I'm 31. I can't go to England and have AJ quit what he's doing and go to England, and Dan say, hey, you just got your green card. Fuck it, you're going back to England. It's like not those things like that. It didn't happen, so you have to work with what you had to do. And where it's a group atmosphere, whether it's in the studio or in the basement, you get to bounce your ideas very directly off each other. Now it's through a private Facebook group or, a chat thread or something. And, being Chris is in England, it's not like, oh, let's text each other, because you can't really do that. So we have a private, Facebook group, which only 4 of us view. So we go on Facebook, we go to our little private group and we discuss all the edits and the this and the that, and we bounce off the, ideas from different time zones, in that respect. But where it gets muddy, how you bounce your ideas off your bandmates that are right there, it also gives you the time to explore what only you want to do with nobody else telling you that may not be the best fit there. So in a way, it helps bring forth a more original, authentic taste to that part, because where I might want to do a drum fill here or a drum beat here that clearly may not jive with everybody else's thoughts, I'm just going to do it anyway because it's what I wanted to do and see if the other guys think it's cool. You know what I mean? So it brings forth more innovation in that sense, because you got to work with what you got to work with. So if you're left alone in a studio and you're tracking your own drums, you get the freedom to just kind of, do your own thing. It's like they say even in life, when you have no time to get bored, you get no new ideas. So let yourself daydream. Let a good idea come to you. Don't always pick up your phone and start scrolling through Facebook for no reason. So if you're left alone, to your own devices, you let the juices flow. You get stuff, churning. Let's try a gravity blast here where I've never would have thought to put that in a song. Let's have, the song, the chorus be a driving, thrash punk beat. Who would it, these are just things that kind of come up when you're sitting there and you're like, all right, let's do it. So it brings forth new ideas, and I can see where it can be limiting in the sense of, you don't have a direct group, hive mind mentality. but sometimes it can be really cool if you're not there. Let you do your own thing, you know?
Oh, absolutely. So I would imagine with that, have you changed your setup at all when it came to the recording of Origins?
No, my setup right now, it's funny too. I sit my Tama, you know, the Binga Birch Star Classic, you know, I had the overheads, I had all the toms mic'd up, snares mic'd up, and I did it all myself. As far as, setup wise, it's basically the same drum setup that I've, incorporated all these things, throughout the years, and this is how I like it. Snare drum, 2 toms, I got a floor tom, I got 1 kick drum, and I use, an Axis double pedal, so I'm not using 2 bass drums. And, I've always liked a lot of cymbals, so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5, 6 crashes, 2 splashes, a ride, a china. So, you got everything you need.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing setup. Anytime when I've seen you at Station 4 on the Sonata Tour, or when I've seen your videos on Facebook, I've always admired your kit, and especially the way that it sounds.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that thing, I'm telling you right now, I think it's hold up. But being that Chris is also really tightened up and honed his mixing and production skills, I can send him something that was played great, but, quality, let's say the quality isn't, A+. He can make it sound A+. So, whether it's, putting a light trigger sample on one of the toms or boosting the high end on the snare to give it some crack, or, vice versa, making it a little lower to dampen it up. Chris knows all these tweaks now because he's been, since we've been doing the first album, the second album, he does mixing and, mastering and producing for bands on the side. So he's a great editor and mixer as well. So by the time I send him something, I know it's already going to be in good hands. That little Skrillex drum cover video I did, I recorded myself here in my basement. But then I took the drum track and I sent them right to Chris and said, Chris, can you give me a light mix on this? And the next day he sent it back to me and it sounded like gold. So
that's amazing. And
right?
Who would have thought that would, just like getting back together with Mutiny Within and working on the third album, like through all these trials and tribulations, it really would make everyone stronger in their own ways, with Chris with his production skills, you with playing with so many different musicians, and everything else that's going on with the band. I mean, it's really great to see that it's become so much more DIY and so much stronger because of it.
I have to agree. I mean, and even Dan, Dan would always touch on some keyboards or something, piano, whatever. But being that we had a real big space to fill, being that Drew brought that whole ambient, different kind of vibe to it with the keys and the program, sound synths or the piano sounds, Dan, really, Hans Zimmer and Omnisphere program. And when we said, listen, Dan, you're taking over these duties because we know you could do it, he buckled down and he did it. And some of the shit that he was sending us with those epic sounding dark gothic choir tones, or whether it's keys or something really proggy or even like dance-ish sounding, Dan nailed it. So it really does move and lend credence to the point that, what's the old phrase? It's like innovation happens when you need it to. Like when you're forced and you're backed into a corner and you need to come up with a plan, you come up with the plan. And at that point, it's honestly the best plan that you could have come up with. So being that we were limited, we were all in different states, different things, it really made us hone our skills to be able to, to do what we eventually did. So.
Oh, that is just so cool. And again, I'm just so happy. I mean, Mutiny Within was one of those bands that really opened my eyes to what is possible in metal. And now just seeing that you guys are back with a third album and just this rejuvenation that's going on with the band, and I just hope it leads to much more. I mean, whether you guys make another album after this or you go out touring, I'm just happy to see that you guys are at the spot where you are right now.
Thanks. Yeah, and that we appreciate that. We want to be welcomed with open arms. It's not, it's not saying that, let's put this out and it'll just be for ourselves and fuck everybody else. Sorry if I'm cursing too much. Am I allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, go ahead. No
okay,
problem.
Good. It's like, fuck everybody. If I was trying to unconsciously hold back to, I have a fucking foul mouth. So it's like everybody's, saying like, we don't care what anybody thinks and we don't care if the fans hate it. But that's not true. We absolutely care what the fans think. We absolutely care if they hate it. But it's when you're doing it only for the reason of getting praise and staying hip and relevant, then that shit's gonna be like, it's gonna be so see-through, like parchment paper. You're gonna be like very apparent in your blatant attempts to try and stay relevant and do it this way, just because we want the approval of people. It shines through when you you do it because you want to do it, and you're proud of it. You stand behind it, and you do it all yourself. You don't have someone writing a song for you. You don't have this. It's all done in-house. With this new model, we plan on making music now. I mean, I'm not saying this as a fact, but like we want to put out an album now every year and a half, or every 2 years, whatever. But we want to stay more diligent now with putting out new music, because why not? Now that we're more settled and comfortable in our own lives, and we can clearly see now that we have the means to do it ourselves, let's just continue to keep on doing it. Let's make it, a new model with how we're going to be releasing our stuff. And, that's how it is. Like, I designed all the artwork, and I had to go on, the website and do all the templates and the CD trays and the back. That shit was a fucking nightmare. But when the rubber hits the road, just do it. You got to do it. So I'm saying I took all the artwork, duties, but also it's like, hey, I made the front album. Yay, I did the artwork. It's like, okay, but now we have to get that printed on an actual CD. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you have to download the templates. You got to go to the website. You got to have the bleed and the extra area for the spines and the shit. You have no idea the headache that it is. But once you get it and you got it, it's like, why not continue to try and do this model? I mean, we put out, like I said, Synchronicity. It was not a rush job by any means, but it wasn't as, Chris had very limited actual equipment to work with, so it was done not hastily, but we didn't take the meticulous time that we did because we weren't able to, like we are now. Now that we have the capabilities and the software and the this and the that, you name it, the interfaces, all that, now we can say that we're confident in being able to put out new material more often, not taking a 4-year hiatus because we don't know what to do. It's not making us any money. We can just do it now because we want to do it. We know we can. And being that the feedback is so great with the songs we released so far, it's all the more reason to be happy knowing that we are enjoying the new way that we're doing it now. So.
And yeah, I can't say it enough. I'm just so happy to see that you guys are at that state. And, no matter how much time it takes, I mean, whether in 6 months you're back writing or in 2 years you're going to be releasing the next album after Origins, I mean, it's just great to see this DIY approach that's going on. And even with you guys being in separate countries, different states, it's great to see that power that's still going on with that bit of technology being able to help you do that, but also just having that connection to be able to make it all happen.
Totally. It's funny too, because the technology is a double-edged sword.
Oh yes.
We got dropped from Roadrunner on our first big push because, number one, no one knew who we were, and number two, all of our album sales were being funneled into torrent site downloads. So where our first week, our album sales were, we look at one illegal download site, and there was over 60,000 downloads. So that was the beginning of the downfall of when we just first started. So right out the gate, we had it stacked against us because we were not known. We didn't have a foundation, in the sense where we put out our own demo albums, or we put out a couple indie albums. We didn't have any of that. We just got signed straight to Roadrunner, and then kids started downloading our shit. So technology in that aspect killed us. But conversely, 8 years later, technology is now what's being able to give us a second, a chance at life here. So it's very strange. Technology killed us first, boom. But now technology is helping us be able to put out more stuff. So it's very strange in that aspect.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with everyone having their own busy lives, I know you have a very busy schedule along with everybody else. Is there any plans of doing any mini tours or anything like that in promotion?
Like we said, the idea of a full tour being backed by a label and they put you up for the money. Number one, that is expensive, and number two, when you're doing that and you're on the road and you're eating like shit and you don't have enough money to XYZ, take a shower at a hotel because you had to pay the blah blah blah. Too many people didn't show up today, so we didn't sell a lot of merch. So touring is hard, especially when you don't have some kind of backing. It's difficult. It's almost impossible when you're now with no backing from 3 different states and 2 different countries. So the month-long, full, co-headlining whatever tours they're not as readily available as they once were. But we would never, ever deny an opportunity where if Chris was able to, fly here and we play like a 3-day weekend, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania kind of mini tour, I think people would love it. They haven't seen us live in God knows how long. But that would be, great, and I would love that. But, the realistic nature of us, hey, is Mutiny Within going to go tour again right now? No. We have no idea what's going to come, especially the album's not even out yet, the response. There's a lot of moving parts to kind of associate with a decision like that. But, it's almost like a take it as you go, kind of thing there.
Yeah, and I would love to see that at some point. I mean, if it is like those mini tours, like a Friday,
Right.
Saturday thing once in a while, every few months,
Right.
or maybe once or twice a year, whatever the case is. But
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, as long as there's new music going on and you guys are becoming friends again and becoming stronger
Right.
than ever, that's what really matters.
Totally. I mean, me and AJ, right, we couldn't make it to Chris's wedding in England, so we made 2 videos of us giving him a toast that they played at the party, and AJ's was very thought out and astute and very human, and mine was literally me saying, Chris, I want to make you a toast. So for the next 3 minutes of the video, I ate toast, and that was it. But the whole point was that we're getting to be able to we're still incorporated in each other's lives. And now, it's like we are genuine. Remove Mutiny Within, I can genuinely say that we're all friends. And, starting off how we did, we were all tight, but then we had the falling out. And then time, distance makes the heart grow fonder. It made us see our own bullshit for what it was. I had my problems, they had their problems. We each had our own, shit to work out. Plus we were young and we were doing it. We were on stage. It was like, oh my God, it was like the crazy lifestyle. And it does take a toll on how you interact with each other. So being, time has gone by and we're doing this now because we love to do it. And there's no pressure in the sense that it's label backed and there's a bunch of higher ups and a bunch of people taking pieces of the pot. It's more, it's like breathing a fresh breath of air into something that, I guess as, we haven't really done much in the past 4 years after Synchronicity. But, I feel like a big breath of fresh air has come with all this. Everybody's excited. There's no really stopping the direction that we're going in now because we just really feel comfortable with releasing the music, doing it on our own. We know we can, so why not do it,
Yeah, it's definitely the right approach, I think, nowadays, and especially in 2017. Taking that DIY approach, everyone in the band having their own separate parts of how to make the band go further. I mean, like you doing the album design and Chris doing more of the production work and everything else that everyone else is doing. Dan with the keyboard work, all of that great stuff.
AJ did most of the writing for the structure, so it's like everybody didn't just have one designated, delegated task to do. We each had a couple things that we were all doing, a lot of moving parts. But when you get the formula to work in that way, then you're good. There's nothing that you can't really do in that sense.
Yeah, and with the sum of all of that, I can already tell that Origins is going to be one of my favorite albums of 2017, possibly even my favorite Mutiny Within album if it keeps going on with the tracks that I've heard so far. And again,
I promise it will. It ain't gonna let up. I promise. Every song, it's like a fucking story, my friend. Not to toot my own horn, but I love the band I'm in. So it's like if you have the opportunity to be in a band that you love, genuinely love the music of, and you love where it's going, if that's where you want to be as a musician. I mean, I get it. You want to be on the stage and licking your guitar and having girls spit on you from the floor. It's okay, I see that's the end of the game there for a lot of people, but once you're genuinely happy in the skin you're in and genuinely happy in the music, sphere that you put yourself in, it comes through. It shows through the music. It shows through how you are as a person. It shows how you talk about that music to other people. Just be confident in it. And if you can tell if someone's like, we're putting out an album. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I'm saying we're putting out Origins, and it's better than our first album. I personally think that the album coming out February 10th or 11th is our best album that we've ever done in terms of every aspect of it. The production is way more modern in the sense where it's louder. You hear everything. It sounds like crystal clear. And there's elements that maybe if we were afraid to touch on the first one, we not just touched it, we smushed it with our feet on this one. So everything that we wanted to do, we're doing. So you heard it from Me First. I think this is going to be our best album so far.
And that's an amazing note to end on. I think that's a great way to end it. Bill, thank you
Sounds good,
so much for taking the time to do this interview, to be able to promote Origins. Before we're done, feel free to plug away everything that you need to promote the new album.
Plug away. Okay, so we only honestly have, I don't even know if there's much time left, because I don't know if I've explained that the pre-orders that we're taking now for the physical album is almost like a first come, first serve. So we may only do a limited print of, 500, 1,000, I don't know, not many, but we're only doing a limited print of actual physical CDs. Once those are run through and they're all accounted for, it's going to be primarily, the bullshit iTunes digital, I can't touch my music shit. So it's all going to be in, the ethereal fucking cloud. So if you want your hands on a physical thing, because you're a real person, the last time I checked, everybody should go to mutiny-within.com. It's a mutiny, then the little -within.com, and pre-order. We have the pre-order for the album. You can have bundle packs for, a bunch of the different kind of versions, where one will be drumless, one will be guitarless, one will be vocalless, one will be bassless. So you could play along to your own stuff. You can improvise your own stuff. We have bundle packages like that. We have the singles, plus we have 2 brand new t-shirts designs that I've designed, hoodies, tank tops, 3/4 sleeves. So what you want to do as a fan, if you're a real fan or if you're just a fan of our music, to help us the most directly would be to go to mutiny-within.com and pre-order. So limited time.